Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now. Friday, December 16th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down the Friday slate with just 3 games, but we'll also look back on last night. You guys can't see it if you're watching on YouTube before the show begins as the intro video is rolling, but I get pumped up listening to that intro tune. I mean, I'm basically moving and shaking in the background here. Like, it gets my adrenaline flowing. Really, it does. Yeah. It gets me psyched up and ready for the start of every show. So love that intro music, and I am ready to talk some NHL as always. And thanks to Mike Crocock, great guest yesterday again on the show, breaking down the massive 13-game card yesterday, or 12-game card it was. But yeah, we put him through the paces yesterday with a huge slate, but did a great job. We've got Brett Pepler, another guest, pro hockey player, former pro hockey player, joining us on the show tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So looking forward to that as well. And we're looking forward to having Jimmy Murphy, our Friday guest, joining us later in the show, and looking forward to this man joining me once again here. Alex B. Smith back after a hiatus yesterday. Alex, welcome back. How are things? And I know you didn't bet anything last night on the NHL slate. You didn't love the card very much, but what were some thoughts and some takeaways from Thursday?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I know we talk about it all the time because we're so different. You're a volume better, a high volume better. I'm a very low volume better. Yesterday, I just didn't like anything on the card. And you have a 13-game card. People just kind of expect you get texts from your clients and followers on Twitter and say, did you bet anything today? I'm like, no, I didn't like anything. Conversely, I like something in all 3 games tonight. And so that's the biggest takeaway of all from a betting standpoint. Sometimes you need a night to clear your head. And I've been rolling hot. I haven't been on a slump. I've done much better since I did the start of the year. But just sometimes it's good to clear your head. Just watch the games as a fan and an observant fan, not just of course blindly. But I watched some of the Hawks and Vegas game. Hawks look as dismal as ever, but Vegas looking very sharp. Feel bad for Logan Thompson. He should have gotten the shutout last night. He played in well enough to earn that. But Taylor Radish, once again, he's been arguably one of the best scorers and top forwards on that Hawks team. So that's something I caught a little bit of as well. But just, taking a night to reset and refocus, especially in what's a very long season, and we go through every game and try to look for something in every angle. It's just nice to take a night off and then refocus. So hopefully I'm going to be really hot the next couple of nights because I've got things kind of charged up. Balanced some of my numbers as well. Updated the charts. I have those posted on Patreon.com after the show, and ready to rock for the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. Sometimes it's nice to have that recharge the battery night, where you just take the night off, you don't love things, and you get a little break. I mean, we certainly don't have many opportunities to have that kind of situation where we get a break from the card, especially me. I mean, and look, I've had that before where the very odd times I'm passing on the card, I get the subscribers of mine asking me, are you playing anything? Like you talk about how you get that when you don't have a night where you're involved in action and you pass the card saying, aren't you betting anything? Yeah. When it's me, they're not only asking me that when I pass, they're saying, you hungover, you drunk, you mentally ill, something going on here. Have you lost your mind? But
yeah, they get worried.
Directed at me when I pass the card on a certain night, because it's a very rare occasion when it comes to yours truly. But still, you need that every now and then, just a little bit of an opportunity to just take a step back and have a break. Last night, just some thoughts from me for last night. Kind of an up and down night. More kind of disappointed actually with some results. I ended up down a little bit last night, although there were some results that could have made it better and some results that actually pushed it to better than it could have been as well. So, but Dallas was a good result. They got the win over Washington 2-1. We talked about how maybe the Capitals wouldn't play their absolute best, after the big Ovechkin 800 goal night. Kind of not a flat spot, but maybe just wouldn't have that second gear, and give Dallas credit. Good defensive game from them. Jake Ottinger, I think it was one of his better performances in between the pipes as well for the Stars, and they get a nice low-scoring 2-1 victory in that one. Tampa Bay 4-1 over Columbus. Disappointed. One of my 2 best bets was the over in that game with the Jackets and the Lightning, and Tampa Bay just Columbus could not beat Brian Elliott and Daniel Tarasov. Actually, they could have actually won that game 6-1 or 7-1.
Yeah.
He was actually not bad. And I stated on the show yesterday, Alex, Tarasov has the best statistics of any Columbus goaltender on their roster right now.
Yeah.
Not saying much because his goals against average is still above 3, but it's still better than what we've seen out of Merzlikins and Korpisalo this year. So, and actually,
that's very
he's given the best
problematic.
chance to win.
I mean, and okay, all right. I won't be too harsh. It is problematic because he's a rookie goalie and he's been thrown in these different spots, and for him to flourish in those limited moments of action, that's a good thing. And he's showing signs that he could be an NHL goalie sooner than later. He's not just some cast off that's just going to spend his whole time with the Cleveland Monsters. So at the same time, you're expecting your top guys to stand up and deliver when they're in the lineup, and they just have not been able to do that for Columbus.
No, they haven't, and their offense has gone cold all of a sudden, too. 1 goal in the last 2 games. They follow up the shutout at the hands of their old goaltender, Sergei Bobrovsky, against Florida, and then they only get 1 goal last night in another loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. How about the LA Kings down 2-0 going into the third period? They rally, they tie it up, a couple of goals courtesy of Adrian Kempe in the third period to tie up that game, and then a 3-2 win in a shootout for the LA Kings, handing the Bruins their second home loss of the season. Very impressive performance. Very impressive in the fact that they were down 2-0. Could have been easy to say, you know what, it's not going to be our night. And they ended up coming back, hanging in there, especially when they got the third period, the nightmarish third period of our lifetime, when we were on the Betcast the other night playing the Buffalo Sabres, and they just got drilled 6-0 all in the third period. And to bounce back after that and beat the Boston Bruins on the road, it shows you there's still something there for the LA Kings. There's the possibility for them to be good. Iron out your defensive issues, get some stabilized goaltending. That's going to be key. We know this team was a playoff team last year. They're probably going to be battling to get there this year, but we know there's capable hockey team in that LA group, and we're going to see if they can get the job done moving forward. But if you're looking for signs for a struggling team of where's that turning point, where's that flip the switch moment, could it be last night's comeback win in overtime against the red-hot Boston Bruins? Do you think LA, Alex, can get some momentum from that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a huge win, even though it wasn't a regulation win. And of course, you're going to hear every Bruins fan in the world saying, well, it's still undefeated in regulation. That'll be the saying until that really happens.
That'll be the next
the next
drop.
streak. Yeah. So this is a current streak. That's it's still impressive. The fact that you've only lost 2 games, at home in a shootout, mind you. Not both of them, not even in OT, going to shootout. So there's still the resiliency. You have to take them all the way to the end to beat them at home. That remains to be true. But I think this is a good boost for LA, a team that's kind of fallen a little bit on hard times, but they're still in great shape as far as the division is concerned and the conference as well. And but we're seeing that now. We're starting to see things shake into position that we talked about at the beginning of the year. We talked about how Colorado, of course, now the injury bug has really bit them hard lately, but they're still in the middle of the pack in the Central Division. You're seeing the Minnesota Wild come back from their bad loss. You're seeing Pittsburgh playing tough again, Toronto playing well, Tampa Bay back in the fold as a legitimate contender in the East. We're starting to see these things that we called it. We said some of these teams are going to struggle early, but they'll pick things up late. But like I said, Boston, I mean, the run that they're on, that it's still just incredible. And you're waiting for the shoe to kind of drop for them. At least I am. I'm waiting for them to see, maybe take a shot against.
They're going to hit their first skid at some point.
At some point, they can't keep this pace. So that's kind of the thing I have circled. I have, like I said, I talk about Tampa Bay. That's a team I like to bet on right now. Moving forward, we're still getting some good value. I think we might be getting some good value going against Boston coming up soon. It won't be something you want to do all the time, but you can pick your spots, I think, coming up within the next couple of weeks.
They're at the height of their value. They're at the height of their, the start to the year. They've been power rated up constantly this year. The value is not really there to back them. And just now you might start to see their play level off and drop off just a bit. So yeah, I agree with that. This could be some decent opportunities and the right time maybe to try to look for chances to step in front of the Bruins at this point. Well, look, we have seen this team play some hideous, embarrassing hockey at several games in a row, but last night I'll give them credit. The Anaheim Ducks, 5-2 over Montreal, showed some pride, showed, at least, hey, we have a pulse. We're a professional team. We're professional players. Nobody likes to get, just absolutely crushed and destroyed every game and embarrassed the way the Ducks were. 6-1 at home against San Jose, 7-0 the other night against Toronto. And to see them actually put their best foot forward, get some saves from Lucas Dostal. Let's give him credit. The young kid was very solid in net. Lucas Dostal had a very nice night for the Ducks last night. You could tell that team was sick and tired of being, embarrassed, and it was one of their best games in a while. So give them credit. You can tell they're still professionals. This is still a National Hockey League team. They've gone through their issues getting embarrassed, and finally Anaheim said enough was enough. This is still not a good hockey team. I'm hesitant on saying that that's going to be something that gets them going, because we thought a Carolina win recently for Anaheim was going to get them going, and then they went right into the tank again. But for one night, after a true dismantling that they suffered at the hands of the Leafs, on the heels, too, of a 3-0 shutout against Ottawa, on the heels of a 6-1 drubbing by a team that's no juggernaut, the San Jose Sharks at home, we finally saw an Anaheim team say, hey, we're professionals. We're sick of being, basically embarrassed here. Let's show up, let's play our best, and let's play a hard effort, especially defensively. And they did. Credit to them.
Yeah. And that's the thing you're going to see now, too, as the calendar turns from December into January and get into February. We've seen it already. 4 games last night go to OT or a shootout. 3 more games decided by 1 goal. You're going to see teams tighten up defensively a little bit. We might see some lapses, here and there. We're still going to see some high-scoring games, but we've been seeing a lot of defensive battles, and at least a lot of overtime and draws. So something I'll definitely be looking at moving forward.
Yeah, with a lot of tight games. We saw Vegas beat Chicago 4-1. We saw Carolina escape Seattle 3-2, and they had to hang on at the end. Seattle made a really good push, but fell 3-2. The Leafs get cooled off by the Rangers. It was a battle of 2 teams that were playing better, and the Rangers get the better of the Leafs 3-1. That was as good as Shesterkin's played in a while. He made some terrific saves in the third period to preserve the lead, preserve the win. He was excellent. Toronto didn't really play that bad of a game. They actually outshot the Rangers, but unfortunately, Shesterkin was back to brick wall mode in net for the Rangers, and a very nice win for them there. Winnipeg beats Nashville in overtime 2-1. Just a team that cannot put the puck in the ocean right now. Nashville, another game where they're held to 1 goal. That's 2 goals in the last 3 games combined now for the Nashville Predators. I love I think it was a clean hit that was laid in that game on DeMello, but I like Lowry still wanted to fight Jeannot, and it was a hell of a fight too. It still shows you why I love Adam Lowry. He's that kind of guy, stick up for his teammates, leadership, all that. He'll play on my team any day. If there were 3rd or 4th line type players, and he'd be in my top 3 or 5 to pick to be on my team. Adam Lowry. Absolutely, standing up for your teammate. Great job there. Winnipeg bounces back. It's a much-needed win because they would have gone 0-3 on the homestand if they lost last night, but they get the win 2-1. Buffalo, my underdog of the night, 4-2 against Colorado. They beat the Avalanche, a nice win, plus 160 dogs. Dahlin, Cousins, Thompson, all getting on the board for the Sabres. We talked about how good all of them have been this year for them. Very impressive to see. And then, of course, St. Louis and Edmonton. Edmonton has had too many of these games, man. Too many of these games where they look like they should win, and they're up 3-1, and they almost made it 4-1. I remember midway through the third, Yamamoto had a great chance and almost made it 4-1. And then St. Louis gets a goal a few minutes later, 3-2. They're still in good shape. And then with a minute to go or so, St. Louis takes a penalty. So Edmonton's got a power play up by a goal with a minute to go. You're supposed to close that out on home ice. You're supposed to find a way to win. But instead, and look, it pains me to say it, he's my Hamilton boy. He's my Hamilton compadre here, Darnell Nurse. What are you doing on that play there? And then late in the third, I mean, you gave the puck away in a time you just can't have it happen. And unfortunately, after that, it ends up being in the back of your net, courtesy of Tarasenko. Tie game with the net, again, shorthanded. St. Louis ties the game 3-3 as Edmonton was on the power play there. And then Edmonton's power play carries over into overtime, and it looks like they score the game winner. But then, and the offside rule, and again, it's one of those things where they say he did not have clear possession of the puck as he entered the zone. And then when he did get firm possession of the puck, the play was offside. That's got to be clarified. That's way too much of a gray area play. So I understand why Edmonton's pissed off. Jay Woodcroft was calm about it in the post game, saying, the language, I think, where a lot of us don't really understand it, it's got to be clarified, because you're right. That's the similar kind of play I think we saw in the playoffs last year with a Colorado game, I remember.
Yeah.
So these offside plays, first of all, you've got to decide 100%. If the guy doesn't have possession of the puck, or he loses possession of the puck off his stick for a second when he's crossing the blue line, what is it? When he has it firmly crossing the blue line, what is it? Offside or onside? You've got to make these distinctions. Nobody has 100% clarity view of it right now. And Connor McDavid's hinted at that in his post-game comments there. Nobody knows for sure what the hell that's going to be called now that we've seen it play out that way multiple times. And sure enough, of course, that goal got disallowed because they called it offside. And you knew at that moment, watch St. Louis win this game, and they did in the shootout. So number one is Edmonton shouldn't have let it get to overtime, because you got to find a way to finish that game when you have a 3-2 lead at home and you got a power play in the last minute. You cannot give up a goal in that situation. And second of all, yeah, you got to overtime. You should have finished it, but it was a 50-50 call at best that went against you, and it's a tough way to lose at the end of the night.
Yeah, it is. And I don't understand why tennis is basically the only sport that uses this laser track technology, when they could easily use this to determine not only offsides, but goals as well, especially when you're talking about the puck fully crossing the red line. These are very simple things that the NHL can remedy, and the technology does exist for these things to be taken care of. So it's something that the league really needs to sit down and kind of work on moving forward.
And like I say, there's so many areas, and Connor was 100%. I love McDavid's press conference because he hit on all the areas: offside, goalie interference. There's just so many areas now where nobody knows if it's going to be goalie interference or not, offside or not. We're getting to that point now. Roughing the passer or not in the NFL, that's a huge problem there in that sport as well. So again, clarity and consistency. Like, if you're going to put it in the rule book, this is offside, this is onside, this is goalie interference, this is not goalie interference. Not only you enforce the rule and make it clear in the rule book, you enforce it that way. You're consistent with it all the time. That is what we're looking for, no doubt about that. And save the Devils for last in the recap section of the show. We do need to talk about New Jersey a little bit. This is the first time where this team's hit a little adversity and a little speed bump in what has otherwise been a remarkable season for them. It's one thing, to lose some of the games they've lost recently, and the Devils lost to the Rangers the other night, but the Rangers are playing a little bit better. They lost to Dallas. Dallas is a solid football team. There's definitely things that you like about the way they've been, or the losses here lately. The Islanders, the Rangers, Dallas, they're all solid teams. But then you lose to Philly, at home, and you get held to one goal. And now you've got to start to ask yourself, with a team that has now lost 4 in a row for the first time this year, is regression hitting them? Did they peak too early? All of this stuff. I don't want to go the peak too early route right now. I really don't. Peak too early. I mean, 4-game losing streak is not what we want to see, or the Devil fans wants to see for them. But I think it's too soon to say they peaked too early and they're just going to be, a garbage team the rest of the way. But at the same time, this is now legitimate concern that they've really hit their first wobble of the NHL season to this point. And it's a combination of things. Last 2 games, they haven't scored goals. Power play and the offense has cooled off a little bit. Their defensive play has been good, and their overall numbers are still good. Like, if you look at their overall numbers, this still looks like a very good hockey team, but it just hasn't resulted in wins here the last 4. I'm not pushing the panic button yet. That being said, 2, 3, 4 more losses in a row for New Jersey, and then we might get to a point where maybe you do have to start reevaluating this hockey team and their ability to sustain this. And keep in mind, this is not a team loaded with physicality. This is not a team loaded with those 3rd and 4th line grunt players that are going to be those guys that could be big-time playoff, two-way players for you. You got a couple. Miles Wood could be that guy. McLeod could be that guy. And credit to McLeod. What a friggin' tough son of a gun he was last night to go after Delorier for a hit on Miles Wood. He was outmatched. Obviously, this is a guy that's been in tons of fights for years in the NHL, Nick Delorier. McLeod's dropped the gloves before, but not at that weight class. To take on Delorier, man, and hang in there. And he actually landed some punches on Nick Delorier, too, toward the end of that fight. Yeah. Just incredible stuff. Mikey McLeod, man. Hats off to you, my friend. That was terrific. I love seeing that stuff. I'm just going to take on this guy because he hit a teammate of mine in a questionable way, at least in their viewpoint. I love stuff like that. Way to go, Mike McLeod.
Yeah, absolutely. Standing up for your teammates, that's something we love to see all the time. But with New Jersey, like I said, it took me a while during that long winning streak for me to say, the Devils legitimate. And I think they are a legit team, but I wouldn't be completely stunned if we saw them regress in a large way, because this is a team that we've seen, shades of flip-flop play from them, even when they were bad. The win streaks they had were kind of long, 4 or 5 games, and all of a sudden they go and lose 8 of 10. So it wouldn't shock me. They've been that kind of inconsistent team for a while. It seemed like they may have broken through past that, but they got to turn things around soon, because, like I said, they'll start, having the doubters again. They won't be chanting fire Lindy anytime soon, of course. I think that's past, but definitely you don't want to get back into a habit of losing after having such a fortuitous first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I forgot Pittsburgh, Florida. Yes, great win by the Penguins. That was my other best bet. So we went 1-1 with the best bets. The Penguins got it done, riding them on the win streak right now. Alex, we've talked about Pittsburgh. That's 7 games in a row for them now that they've won after last night's 4-2 win. A great job by them in the victory. They get it was all special teams mostly for the Penguins last night. They get the shorthanded goal from Chris Letang, power play goals from Gensel and Malkin. Absolutely a terrific job. Jari made some big saves when Pittsburgh was hanging on to the third period lead a little bit. Florida did make a good push, but it all came together nicely. Pittsburgh got the win, riding a red-hot team. Florida too inconsistent. And then I liked Pittsburgh even more, Alex, once we heard Tkachuk wasn't going to play last night in that game, and Verhaeghe as well. So it ended up being definitely a couple of big-time absences, no question about it, for the Florida Panthers last night, and a team that just can't get any traction going. The opposite of Pittsburgh right now. They have got serious traction going right now, winners of 7 in a row.
And the biggest thing, too, is, we don't talk about futures too often, but I think awards futures maybe look for. If the Bill Masterton Trophy, if you can find those odds anywhere, look for Chris Letang. He got a goal and assist last night. This is a guy, 14, 15 days ago, had a stroke, his second stroke of his life, heading into 36 years of age. Comes out, please, last 3 games, played 20-plus minutes of ice time, got a goal and an assist. He can stay healthy. I mean, that award's given out for, sportsmanship and dedication to hockey. Well, there's no bigger dedication to hockey than this guy wanting to get back on the ice in December of all months. This is a Pittsburgh team that we've seen year after year deal with injuries, and, they wait and let guys get healthy for the playoff run, the stretch run. He wanted to come back now, 2 weeks after a serious health issue, and is contributing right back again on the score sheet. And the Blue Liners have been playing well for Pittsburgh. We talk about how sometimes the goaltending can be hit or miss. The defense hadn't been that strongest point of that franchise in quite some time. Now they're playing a little bit better. Of course, Crosby leading the way with the offense. It's a Pittsburgh team to definitely be watching out for. And Florida, like I said, they still finding themselves as the odd team out in that division in the Atlantic, in the Eastern Conference. I think that's kind of where they're going to probably stay for a while, unless they make some drastic changes. And I mean, there's some things they're not going to be able to do. They're not going to be able to move Bobrovsky unless some kind of magic miracle happens with the cap, and a couple other teams needing to address some issues as well. But Florida trending down, and Pittsburgh hanging around and trending more toward the upward in that Eastern Conference.
No doubt about it. And they need Spencer Knight back. They need consistency better at the defensive end. And I don't think they've got the third and the fourth line scoring punch either right now that they had before. This Florida Panthers team. I think that's hurting them quite a bit too. I mean, you got to start really considering the potential of this team not making the playoffs right now. That is a very real possibility for the Florida Panthers. Right now, they sit 3 points out of the second wild card spot. They're 7 points now behind Tampa Bay, the third place team in their own division, the Atlantic Division. I mean, the way Boston, Toronto, and now Tampa are all playing. Good luck trying to catch them right now if you're Florida. You might be relegated to just a wild card spot if you get in now.
And here's the thing. I said it on a show I did earlier on Edgework. Buffalo, in my eyes, is one goaltender upgrade and a blue line veteran addition away from being a legit wild card contender. They're right in that mix. So that's another team that Florida has to worry about right there in their own division.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a nice win for them last night, no question, in Colorado, taking on the Avalanche. All right, let's turn to Friday. We've got 3 games on the board, and we'll begin with the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota minus 420 in most spots here. Home favorites, a massive price in this game. The total sitting at 6 right now across the board. It's funny because you've got obviously Chicago on a back-to-back. They played at home against Vegas last night. They lose that game 4-1. You've obviously got Luke Richardson in a situation where, it's funny. It's just funny because we haven't seen confirmation yet that Peter Mrazek's the goalie tonight, and Luke Richardson's probably thinking, "Do I have to put this guy in? Do I really have to put him in there right now?" I mean, for Mrazek, it's just been, I'm sure he's hoping for a fresh start, clean slate, stay healthy, maybe try to get his career back on track, and it's been anything but. He's 2-7, or the Blackhawks are 2-7 with him starting, 4.37 goals against average, 873 save percentage. It's been obviously a rough time for the Chicago Blackhawks, no question about that. And when you look at it, it's a situation where, I think when you look at Chicago, it's hard to back them. It's hard to have any faith in Mrazek right now with what I've seen. He's been giving up goals in bunches. That's been absolutely a concern for me going forward with him. We saw what happened the other night against the Washington Capitals, giving up 7 goals in that game. Numbers have been bad. For him, it's been a consistent stretch going back to when he was with the Leafs of when he is in net, he's not good enough one start to the next. Maybe he'll have a good start here and there, but there's too much mediocrity and below average goaltending the rest of the way. And then when he isn't playing, he's hurt again with that damn groin injury. I mean, the groin injuries just keep on happening, and it's unfortunate. I mean, I keep saying his groin's being held together with duct tape and glue right now. Peter Mrazek, he just cannot seem to keep that damn thing healthy. It's like, what are these doctors doing? Can we do something to get this thing right? Holy goodness. Just keeps having issues with it. And then when he does play, he's way below average. And that's the issue right now. Another issue for Chicago is they can't score. They've having the same issues Nashville has had the last few games. They've not been able to get any sort of offense going consistently. Taylor Radish, thank God for him. He's tried to get something going offensively. They get a goal from Tyler Johnson, who just comes back to the lineup against Washington, and now he's injured again. He's re-aggravated his injury, and it may not play tonight for the Blackhawks. So, just all kinds of problems. 1-9 in their last 10 games, 5-game losing streak as well for Chicago. This is obviously a game where Minnesota, with any sort of focus, should win this game. I mean, they showed up to play against Detroit 4-1 the other night. They played a pretty good defensive game. They played 2 in a row. Very good defensive games at home. 3 in a row if you factor in the shutout they had against Vancouver at the end of the road trip. So this is one of those games where I think Minnesota wins, but I'm not going to take them puck line or regulation line. There's just no value. I think the best way to attack it is I found at BetMGM the team total at 4 minus 110. At least if they get 4 goals, you push. And if they get more than 4 goals, it's going to end up going over that number. So I think that's the best way to play it. Minnesota team total over 4 minus 110. Again, try to find it at BetMGM or another book where you can get that half goal, because you don't really want to lay over minus 170 with over 3.5. I certainly didn't want to. So I figured the next best option is over 4 minus 110 with the Wild team total. So that's the way I played this one. Alex, what do you think here, Blackhawks and Wild?
Yeah, I went with Wild first period puck line. I got that right before it moved. It was even money when I played it laying the half a goal. Now you have to lay, I'm seeing the $1.10, $1.15, which I normally wouldn't do that. I would normally say that's a no-go. But like I said, considering how, unless you have a book that offers that half goal option on the team total, I'm not laying 170 with 3.5. So I'm going to go with that first period puck line. I'd say lay $1.10 and try to shop around if you can get a plus price for that. If you like anything totals wise, I'd say wait in game, because the Hawks offense has just been abysmal. That number could drop down to 4.5, and then you're live. I think maybe the Hawks get a goal, but like I said, that's still, you're relying on at least 4 from the Wild, 1 from the Hawks, and you get on a 4.5. That's probably the best way to attack this. The Hawks have just been brutal. And like you said, either you play Peter Mrazek, who clearly, if he is 100% healthy right now, then he probably should be close to done with his career, honestly, because his post-to-post movement in the last couple of starts after coming back from the injury has looked terrible. He looks very slow. He looks uncomfortable just standing in the crease right now. And so you either have him in that, or you go on a back-to-back with Arvid Soderblom again, who, yes, he has shown progression in every game. He made some great saves last night, but at the same time, two of those goals he got beat on, especially that one in the second period, they're goals that high school goalies could have stopped. Honestly, like, he's let in some very soft goals. He's still giving up some big rebounds with his kick saves. He's got things to work on. You do not want to just run this guy in the ground, start playing him back-to-back nights, playing him, four times in a 5 and 7 or things like that. He's not a starter in that aspect. So the Hawks are just going to be, this is what they're planning to do. They're tanking. They're going to be losing games. If you have this tandem right now, this is not going to get you wins against damn near anybody. And now you're going on the road against a rival in a building where you haven't played that well, lost 6 straight against Minnesota. This game could get ugly early. And that's why I'm looking just strictly for the first period puck line. Hope to get 2 goals from Minnesota, take my money and run, because even with this being said, we talked about the Wild. They have struggled against teams they should demolish. We saw them go to OT against Anaheim. We saw them struggle against Arizona. This wouldn't be shocking at all if the Wild, if they don't get out to a big lead early. This could easily be all of a sudden a 2-2 game with 5 minutes left in the third. And next thing you know, the Hawks are alive to win this game in overtime or a shootout. So the Wild do need to take care of business. They need to play a full 60-minute game. I'm just hoping they at least take care of business in the first 20.
Yeah, and in theory, you would think, with Marc-Andre Fleury in net tonight confirmed for the Wild, he would always want to play well against Chicago. Obviously, it was disastrous time for him there. I mean, nothing went well. He didn't play great. The team was not good. I'm sure he's always interested in beating Chicago, Marc-Andre Fleury. But he did give up 3 goals the last time he faced them, and it was a close game. It was 4-3. But Chicago was actually in a better offensive way than they are right now. They are lost at sea right now in terms of finding their goal production. Their power play has gone downhill. Their power play was actually great early in the season, and now the last 5 games, they've gone just 1 for 12 with the man advantage. So the power play has cooled off, and it's coinciding with the goal scoring. I mean, this is pretty lousy from Chicago. They've scored in the last 5 games during this losing streak, they've only scored 5 goals in those 5 games, shut out twice as well. So it's tough. That's why I isolated the Wild team total instead of a full game over in this game, because I don't know if Chicago's going to give me a whole lot right now tonight. So I figured I'd focus more on the team total here for the Wild. All right, St. Louis Blues, Calgary Flames. We've got Calgary minus 220, home favorite, 6 the total in this one. Man, Calgary just cannot seem to get on any sort of run. I mean, it's just been remarkable. That's losing to Columbus, losing to Toronto, losing to Montreal in a shootout, all 3 games on that road trip. Granted, a little bit of a tough spot coming back home off a 3-game road trip in the East to play Vancouver, but still a game you think you should win, and you don't get it done. You lose to the Canucks at home. So it is definitely a team that is having a tough time right now. You still have a winning record at home, though, 10-7 at the Saddle Dome this year, but 4 losses in a row. 3 of them have been beyond regulation for the Flames as of late. We will see if that carries over here. I mean, I don't know what Alex is on here for this game, but my goodness, everything is blinking. It's like those flashing lights. Draw with the form of these 2 teams right now. I mean, the Blues have gone beyond regulation in 3 straight games against Colorado, Nashville, and Edmonton last night, of course, where they win in a shootout. Calgary's gone beyond regulation in 3 straight games as well, including the Vancouver game the other night. So definitely you're looking at a situation here where you would expect this game to be pretty competitive, pretty close. And it's not like Calgary's getting the defensive play consistently or the goaltending from the Markstrom-Vladar duo right now that makes you think they can gain separation from the opponent. What I do think they can do tonight, Calgary, is score some goals. And their offense at times has been hit or miss. 2 power plays been hit or miss. The 5-on-5 offense has been hit or miss. But St. Louis is likely to roll with Thomas Greiss tonight on the back-to-back. Talked about how much this guy has struggled in terms of making stops this year for the St. Louis Blues. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but with Binnington in net last night, you would think Greiss is in net. You look at him in the last 5 of his last 6 starts, Alex, he's given up at least 4 goals in 5 of his last 6 starts. And actually, if you go back further than that, you'll also see a lot of games where he's given up at least 4 goals. So That's what I'm focusing on tonight. Calgary can get me 4 goals. This is another team total for me. 3 games on the card, and 2 of my bets are team totals. Calgary over 3.5, team total about -120 in that range. I'm taking out the Calgary money line. I want nothing to do with a Flames money line, regulation line, puck line, anything like that. Because I can't trust them right now in terms of winning. But tonight, with a Blues team in a tough spot, 3rd game in 4 nights, back-to-back on the road with a struggling Thomas Greiss, I'm just going to isolate the team total and hopefully count on the Flames to get 4 goals against a goaltender that's been giving up 4 goals repeatedly all season long. So Calgary team total over 3.5. I think I know where Alex is going, and the draw makes a whole lot of sense, too, to take a sprinkle on that with both teams on a 3-game streak beyond regulation entering tonight. What do you think here, Alex? Blues Flames?
Yeah, you got it down for exactly. Like I'm going draw plus 390, and I'm also going first period over. I actually dropped down to minus $1.20 and bet online before we got on air, and that's when I finally struck and played it. The Jacob Markstrom, I mean, it's funny. We talked about the whole how first shot on he's faced has gone past him in 6 games. 2 of the first 3 shots he's faced against Vancouver the other night go past him. That game flies over the total in the first period. Yep. We've seen Calgary go over that first period total in 7 of the last 10, and 8 of the last 10 games we have seen a goal in the first 10 minutes. More than likely, it's been against Markstrom, like you said, early in the contest. So that's something that he really needs to work on, getting in focus and being in the right positioning early in games and not waiting until the second, third period to settle in. But until he proves he's done that, and like I said, with Greiss possibly going for St. Louis, this definitely feels like an extremely cheap price for that first period over. So I'm hammering that, and I'm also going with the draw at plus 390.
Is that true there? Chris Otto is on top of what the numbers are and the lines are, but I believe him when he says over 5.5. He says in the chat -125 at MGM, bet MGM. I know it's over 5.5. It's dropped to 5.5 at ProLine Plus, which is a sports book you can only use in Ontario.
Yeah,
it's like an Ontario government.
And Circa is 5.5. That's in Vegas and Colorado right now. So
I will bet that as well. Like I wouldn't bet 6 over. I'm betting 5.5 over with these 2 teams. And again, we talk about how the 5.5s have been pretty good more often than not with overs, but I will definitely split it up now. Flames team total and that over 5.5 at -125 at BetMGM. Circa, as Alex mentioned, also has 5.5 here with it. So definitely options there. Yeah, a 5.5 -125 at BetMGM. That's a great price. No question about that. So I'm going to add the 5.5 over as well in this game. I mean, great. We got to expect it's Greiss. We got to expect him to be not someone we trust as it's been all season. And yeah, I think the Flames are going to maybe put a few past him. If there's anything to slap Calgary in the face and say, wake the fuck up, boys, let's get our shit together, it's probably losing at home against Vancouver the other night. So, hopefully we get that kind of effort, that kind of performance tonight from the Calgary Flames in this one. As far as the props go in this one, there are a couple that stand out for me in terms of the prop market. You've got Josh Levo's moved up to the top line. I'm not saying that means for sure he's going to contribute offensively. And the last 3 games, he hasn't had a point, but he's going to have opportunity as long as he stays there for the St. Louis Blues. Kyrou, of course, is someone that, has been streaky this year, and now he's on the good side of the streak again. He's got 5 points in the last 5 games for the Blues. So some options there. For Calgary, one thing about Daryl Sutter with the losses mounting and the inconsistency, he's really been shaking up the lines. He really hasn't kept anything all the same. And when you look at this game tonight, he looks like he's going to go with a Dubé, Lindholm, Toffoli top line in this game. Dubé up to the top line, and Dubé, I think, has great value tonight with his player props for the Calgary Flames in this one because of the fact that he's moving up the lineup. He's actually been noticeable lately. He got a power play point, which I took, and he's getting more power play time. I mentioned he got 2 assists, 2 points. One of them was on the power play. Take a look at that as well. Power play point, Dylan Dubé, because a lot of books are going to have it really good again at plus 500 or something. I got a plus 550 on that in the Vancouver game, and he got a power play point assisted on their first goal. It's worth a look again because he's also getting way more opportunity on the power play right now for the Flames as well. So definitely Dylan Dubé in a bunch of different ways, I think, is a good prop look tonight in this game. All right, Islanders Coyotes, final game of this Friday slate. We've got the Islanders minus 180, road favorites here, 5.5 the total in this game. It kind of looks like Arizona's got a little something going at Mullet Arena. I mean, they've won both games they've been there since they've been back there after that, just that road trip that it felt like would never end. They get back there and play 2 games at home against Boston and Philadelphia, and they win both of those games. Now, the Boston game, they got totally outshot. We do have to mention that, but they did find a way to win. Karel Vejmelka was outstanding in net, and then they follow it up. They beat Philly at home. Sure enough, they go back on the road the other night, face San Jose, and they don't win that game. So there's a little home road split thing going on with the Coyotes, and they've definitely been, look, we've ripped that arena to shreds and the whole situation, and we've made fun of them with the Arizona State Coyotes talk when it comes to this team. By the way, we're going to have Eddie Lack on maybe as early as January on the show once again. He attended one of the home games at Mullet Arena, so definitely going to get his perspective, someone that's being there. He lives in the state, of course, and someone that's been in that arena. But we've been laughing about it, how the dressing rooms, it's, the curtains being held together for that they're using for dressing rooms early in the season, although they've refurbished it and they've gotten it together since then with better looking dressing rooms. It's a small arena, 5,000 people. Like, we've made a lot of, snide remarks about the whole situation. But the one thing that can't be denied is it's kind of like a cozy atmosphere. Crowd's right on you. And this team, all the players say they get some energy from this crowd. They've been saying that here the last couple of games. They get energized. It makes them really want to, not play harder, but it really gets them going. If they're trailing in the game, the crowd gets them going. You hear the student section chanting, and it's really made a bit of a difference here for Arizona in terms of the energy level for this team and being able to sustain it through the course of 60 minutes. So I'm reluctant to lay this price with the Islanders, against Arizona, considering, we've seen this team show up on home ice. We've seen this team, give good efforts against the Bruins and the Flyers, back-to-back home games. We'll see if that can continue here in this matchup tonight as they take on the New York Islanders. And keep in mind, they beat the New York Islanders in Long Island earlier this year, 2-0. And I was on the Islanders or the Coyotes in that game as a big plus 250 dog. I lean Arizona here, plus 160. I might have a couple bucks on that. I don't like the fact that the Islanders lost to them. Like, the Islanders probably won't look past Arizona. They're on a losing streak as well. They should have full focus and say, hey, we got to stop the bleeding here facing this Arizona team. They already beat us. Do we want the shame of losing to the Coyotes twice in both meetings this year? Probably not, but I'd still lean to the Coyotes here at this price because you're getting a good number. They've been good at home. Vejmelka is confirmed in net. And I think it's going to be Sorokin for the New York Islanders, Ilya Sorokin. And don't look now, he's given up 8 goals in his last 2 starts. So he's his play is leveled off just a little bit here in the last couple games. So I lean Arizona, and at 5.5, with the total, I would only look over, and I'll probably put a couple bucks on that as well. What do you think here, Alex? Islanders, Coyotes?
Yeah, I was leaning with the first period over. Of course, seeing $1.20, that's a decent price. But and the Islanders 3 straight first period overs cashed on the road. Arizona's been on a 5-1 mark, 6-1 mark. The last 7 going in the first period over. Although most of those were road games. And I could see this being a fast start and then kind of a slow down a little bit in the later periods. Islanders, we always know how they tighten up defensively, but Arizona, they really have to do the same thing too to stay afloat and win some of these games. So I like the draw here as well. I grabbed it at plus 340. I think you can find 350, 355 if you shop around. I think this could be easily a 2-2 game. You see, a couple of goals early, and then it tightens up in the later periods, and this one go past 60 minutes. So I like Isles Coyotes. Give me the draw plus 350.
All right, Islanders, Coyotes draw here in this one. So there we go. A couple of draws here for Alex on the card tonight with both the Blues and the Flames, as well as this one here with the Islanders and the Coyotes. I've mentioned it before with the Coyotes. If you're going to look toward any player props with them here moving forward, definitely Schmaltz has been noticeable for the Coyotes. Lawson Krause has been terrific for them as well. And those are the players you probably really want to hone in on in terms of props in this game tonight. Even Shane Gostisbehere, we've seen the point production from him just skyrocket. He scored 2 goals in the last 5 games, but more importantly, over his last 6 games, he has 7 points for the Arizona Coyotes. So if you can find Goss to spare point props out there in this game, gots to be here, as I often like to say. Yeah, definitely, I think it's worth a look. If you want to build some kind of SGP in this game and you're going to put together something involving player points, definitely Gostisbehere should be included because, again, 7 points for him from the blue line for the Arizona Coyotes in the last 6 games. So good stuff indeed there. All right, that is the Friday NHL card here for this Friday edition. Jimmy was going to join us. He must have had something come up. That's okay. We'll get him back next week. No problem there. Busy guy, especially as we get closer to the holidays.
Sure.
But good stuff overall. We thank everybody in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate that very much. And before we get to best bets to wrap it, also patreon.com/ice guys, $10 a month. Make sure you sign up. Goalie charts, totals charts, power ratings, and more. Daily Ice Guys Show betting card as well, posted each and every day, which is convenient for those of you. If you missed the show live, the card's posted there, patreon.com/ice guys, just 10.
Market shipped quickly and discreetly to you. And if you visit thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you will save 25% on every order, not just your first order, but every time you order on the site. And anything that you get over $50, the shipping will be standard and free. So live elevated with Gramco and check out all their wonderful Delta 8, THC, and CBD products today.
And as you can see, Alex loves them and uses them too. It's not just, hey, we're promoting this site.
Right,
we love their product. It's right there, exactly. Delicious flavors as well. There it is on the screen as well. If you're watching on YouTube, thegramco.com, 25% off using promo code Ice Guys. And also, of course, manscaped.com. We appreciate them joining us as one of our official sponsors here on the Ice Guys show as well. Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products, precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. Again, 20% off with promo code ICEGUYS. The Lawnmower 4.0 Weed Whacker. It takes care of all your necessities. Get 20% off, free shipping with the code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use promo code ICEGUYS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Friday edition of the Ice Guys show. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
We're going to go with the late night game. I'm glad this game is going to be on late because it might actually help me go to sleep for a change. The Islanders and the Coyotes, going to go regulation draw plus 350 here. These are two teams, like I said, the offense doesn't come in gigantic waves. And I think these are two teams that are going to play each other pretty tight. We might see them get off to a hot start, looking for that early, but I think things will taper down in the later half of this contest, and we'll see it be close enough where it goes into overtime or a shootout. So we just need the draw. With the Yotes and the Isles plus 350. That's my best bet tonight.
All right, there we go. Draw for the Coyotes and the Islanders plus 350 for Alex B. Smith with his Friday best bet for this Friday slate. All right, my best bet here for the card. It's tough. I'm going back and forth with the Wild and the Flames, the team totals there. I like both, but I'm going to go with Calgary's team total. Over 3.5, minus 120. I think they get 4 goals. Thomas Greiss has given up 4 or more goals in 5 of his last 6 starts. Calgary against St. Louis, the last 3 times the Flames have hosted the St. Louis Blues at the Saddle Dome, they have scored 4 or more goals. They've scored 4, 7, and 4 in the last 3 home games against St. Louis. So a total of 15 goals in those 3 games. After the loss to Vancouver, shame on them if they don't come out flying tonight. The rest advantage, St. Louis off the back and forth intense game against Edmonton last night that they won in a shootout, so they've got the rest advantage. Blues rolling in on a back-to-back. Calgary team total over 3.5, minus 120 for me for this Friday card for best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. Reminder, tomorrow, huge slate, 13 games. It'll be me. It'll be Alex. It'll be a special guest, Brett Pepler, joining us as well. Looking forward to the Saturday card. He's down in Florida too, like our guest earlier this week, Austin McElmurray was, and he goes to Panthers games too. So someone else is going to tell me what an idiot I am for calling out the lack of attendance, I'm sure, with the Florida Panthers home games. He'll stick up for the attendance figures, I'm sure, too. But looking forward to having Brett and his perspective on the show tomorrow on the Ice Guys. So join us for that. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back tomorrow, noon Eastern time, for a loaded Saturday NHL card here on the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now.